Should we start now, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Let me start with my prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanyam Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaprantikam Vanchakalpatarubhayasya Kripa Sindhubhya Yuvacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. So today we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 18, and the verse is 15. And this is the sages of Naimisharanya, Shaunaka Rishi. He's speaking. Tanno bhavan ve bhagavat pradhano mahattamekanta parayanasya Hare rudaram charitam vishuddham shushushyatam no vitnotu vidyan. That therefore na of us, Bhavan, your good self, where certainly, Bhagavat in relation with the personality of Godhead, Pradhana chiefly, Mahattama the greatest of all greats, Ekanta exclusively, Parayanasya of the shelter, Hare of the Lord, Udaram impartial, Charitam activities, Vishuddham transcendental, Sushrutam those who are receptive, Nah ourselves, Vitta Natu kindly describe, Vidwan, O learned one. Translation: O Sutta Goswami, you are a learned and pure devotee of the Lord, because the personality of Godhead is your chief object of service. Therefore, please describe to us the pastimes of the Lord, which are above all material conception, for we are anxious to receive such messages. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The speaker of the transcendental activities of the Lord should have only one object of worship and service, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the audience for such topics should be anxious to hear about him. When such a combination is possible, namely a qualified speaker and a qualified audience, it is then at their very much congenial to continue discourses of the transcendence. Professional speakers and a materially absorbed audience cannot derive real benefit from such discourses. Professional speakers make a show of benefit from such discourses. Professional speakers make a show of Bhagavad Saptah for the sake of family maintenance, and the materially disposed audience hears such discourses of Bhagavad Saptah for some material benefit, namely religiosity, wealth, gratification of senses, or liberation. Such Bhagavatam discourses are not purified from the contamination of the material qualities. But the discourses between the saints of Naimisharanya and Sri Sutta Goswami are on the transcendental level. There is no motive for material gain. In such discourses, unlimited transcendental pleasure is relished by both by the audience and by the speaker, and therefore they can continue the topics for many thousands of years. Now, Bhagavad Saptah are held for 7 days only, and after finishing the show, both the audience and the speaker become engaged in material activities as usual. They can do so because the speaker is not Bhagavad Pradhan and the audience is not Sushrutam, as explained above. So that was the purport by Srila Prabhupada. And I will. Actually, today my mom also joined, so I'm a little nervous. So, you see, Saroj Vaish, this is my mom, and my cousin also has joined, Jyoti. So, before going into that, first, I just wanted to get an overview of where we are in our Srimad Bhagavatam. So means we all know that it is from we are on the 18th chapter, and so we know Srila Sutta Goswami is answering the questions of the sages that the sages have asked, and in the previous chapter where it was described that how Maharaj Parikshit he subdues Kali. So now in this chapter 18, and it so from verse text 1 to 10, what is happening is that we know in earlier in the 4th chapter of 1st canto, the sages asked Srila Sutta Goswami the question, and it was from 1.4.9, that it is said that Maharaj Parikshit is a first class devotee of the Lord, and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him. So the sages asked Sutta Goswami about the birth and activities of Parikshit Maharaj. And then later in the verse, that is 1.4.10, they also asked about why Maharaj Parikshit gave up everything, and he was ready to give up his life, although he was shelter of his praja. So till now, Sutta Goswami has explained them the birth and activities of Maharaj Parikshit, and in between text 1 and 10, he also described very briefly that how Maharaj Parikshit was cursed by a Brahmana boy, and he gave up everything, and he sat down by the I think Gangaji, by Gangaji to hear about Krishna. So now, in the previously, when Sutta Goswami, when he described the activities of Maharaj Parikshit, so the sages of Naimisharanya, they were like awestruck that how can it? They wanted to learn more about Maharaj Parikshit. They were really so amazed that how Maharaj Parikshit he subdued the Kali. Personality of Kali means we all are struggling in the Kali Yuga, but here Maharaj Parikshit, he did not allow, with his intelligence and his power, he did not allow the Kali to enter his kingdom. So they wanted to now they are getting more anxious to hear about Maharaj Parikshit. They are very curious. They want to hear more about Maharaj Parikshit. And in this case, there is one verse I really liked. I just wanted to a little bit speak on that. Due to the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Maharaj Parikshit, though struck by the weapon of the son of Drona in his mother's womb, could not be burned. Furthermore, Maharaj Parikshit was always consciously surrendered to the personality of Godhead, and therefore he was neither afraid nor overwhelmed by fear due to a snake bird which was to bite him because of the fury of a Brahmana. So here Sutta Goswami is describing another quality of Maharaj Parikshit. So previously, Sutta Goswami described the qualities of Maharaj Parikshit, that how he subdued Kali, and his strength, and how he was protecting his people. Now, Sutta Goswami is describing another quality of Maharaj Parikshit, and which is that we know that how powerful Maharaj Parikshit was, right? So now he's describing another quality of Maharaj Parikshit, and which is that he was completely surrendered to Krishna. And how he describes that is that when Maharaj Parikshit was in the womb, that time Ashwatthama tried to kill Maharaj Parikshit by Brahmastra. At that time, he was saved by Krishna. So now Maharaj Parikshit, he has seen that. He has seen that, okay, Krishna saved me when I was in the womb of my mom. So now Maharaj Parikshit, he's like he has taken it as Krishna's will, and his consciousness is that he is not worried about the bird, the snake bird that is going to come and bite him, because he's completely dependent on Krishna. He's surrendered to Krishna in the sense that Krishna, when he was in the womb, Krishna saved him. So it is by Krishna's will. If he desires, the snake bird will come and bite him. And if Krishna desired, then he will live. So for him, it was like for us, if we put ourselves in Maharaj Parikshit's shoes, it's not very easy to accept it like that. If like these are this is another quality of Maharaj Parikshit, that he is able to take the untimely death as a plan of Krishna, which is not easy, and not easy is an understatement. So it's very difficult to take that as a plan of Krishna, right? And this is what Maharaj Parikshit is now displaying one of his qualities, completely being surrendered to Krishna, to Krishna's plan. So he's like showing that part, that devotee never goes against the will of the Lord. Anything sent by God is a blessing for the devotee. So now, like if we put ourselves in Maharaj Parikshit's shoes, then if we come to that kind of situation, it will be the first worry would come, the first thought would come to our mind: how can I save myself, or what will happen to my family, or how will I take care of this? These are all natural concerns, nothing to feel bad of, but that is how we would think. But here the difference between us and Maharaj Parikshit is that we are like, at least I can say about myself, I'm always acting under the material, the external energy of the Lord, that is driven by sometimes mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. But Maharaj Parikshit, he's completely acting under the internal energy of Krishna. So he's not really, for him, what is going on in his mind, it is going on, okay, I am, whatever happens, it is Krishna's wish. My most important point, or most important thing to do right now, is continuous remembrance of Krishna. So that is where Maharaj Parikshit's mind is focused on. And so he's Maharaj, like, just like I don't know how it is to be under the control of internal energy. Similarly, Maharaj Parikshit, he's a pure devotee. He doesn't know how it is to be under the control of external energy. He's always under the protection of internal energy of the Lord. He's a pure devotee. So I will come to this point later, but I just wanted to go to the sequence to where we are right now. And when Srila Sutta Goswami, when he describes this wonderful quality of Maharaj Parikshit, that how Maharaj Parikshit is completely surrendered to Krishna, then the sages, if we can see, the Srimad Bhagavatam could end at this point, because whatever questions the sages and Srila Sutta Goswami has asked, Shaunaka Rishi has asked, Sutta Goswami has already answered. So means it's like Srila Sutta Goswami is wrapping up, but Shaunaka Rishi and the sages, now they are very eager, they are anxious to hear, they are very eager to hear more about Maharaj Parikshit. Why? Because Maharaj Parikshit is surrendered to Krishna, and they want to hear about Maharaj Parikshit's that quality, and they want to hear more about Krishna, because when it is natural, when we hear about Krishna, then we hear about Krishna's devotees. And when we hear about Krishna's devotees, then we hear about Krishna. Means they are not two separate, they are all together, because Krishna is doing his pastimes along with his devotees. So it is the same thing. So now the sages are very anxious to hear. They are very, very eager to hear. And that is where this verse falls in, verse 15. So the sages are saying that, therefore, please describe to us the pastimes of the Lord, which are above all material conception, for we are anxious to receive such messages. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada describes two kinds of listeners and two kinds of speakers. So I want to focus on the listeners, and the speaker. We know the speaker should be like, as Srila Prabhupada says, and as Srila Sutta Goswami says, the speaker should be a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his motivation should not be to earn money to give that knowledge. So that is pure, and the speaker should be coming in bona fide sampradaya. That is, those are the qualities of the speaker. Now, listeners, there are two types of listeners. So that Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in this purport. So first kind is that, like Srila Prabhupada mentioned, that in India, there are like Bhagavad Saptah. So now in Bhagavad Saptah, not most, I would say most of the times, not all of the devotees are like that, but most of the people, they go there to earn some pious credits, some like good credits in their bank account, so that the good will happen to them, right? So they just want to, they're going there as some pious activity. If I hear about these pastimes of Krishna, it's a very good activity, pious activity, and by that I will get some material benefit. It's not that bad also, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 types of people who surrender on to him: Artho, Artharthi, Jnani, and Jigyasu. So Artho, like they are one who is distressed is going to God, going to Krishna. That's okay too. Because those are also pious, Krishna says. And he says, and for Krishna, all those 4 are dear to Krishna. It's like, let's say I have kids, and one kid is coming to me to get some money or something. So at least he's coming to me, right? So I will be happy that, okay, he has come to me. So Krishna is, to Krishna, all type of devotee, all these 4 types of devotees dear to him. But the problem with those kind of listener is that even if they get the material benefit, it will be temporary only, because whatever we get here, it's temporary. It's like I go to a millionaire or billionaire, and he asked me, like, just ask me any amount of money, and I say, okay, just give me $1. So it's like we are going to Krishna, and we can get out of this cycle of birth and death, and we are just asking for some more benefit, material benefit. I will just, there is one story Srila Prabhupada always used to speak most of the times, that there was one young lady, sorry, not young, old, very old lady. She was carrying this whole big load of sticks on her head, and she was going to the jungle, and it was very difficult to carry those load, and then picking up from the jungle one by one, and then putting it on your head. It's not easy, very difficult. And now when she's going, that bag of sticks, it fell down, and she started crying. And she was like, in that time of distress, she really prayed to Krishna, Lord Vishnu, from her heart to help her. And Lord Vishnu appeared in front of her, and he said, please ask whatever you want. So she said, can you please put that bag on my head? So Lord Vishnu asked, are you sure you want that? I can deliver you from the cycle of birth and death. So she said, yes, can you please put that bag of sticks on my head? That is our condition when we go to Krishna to ask for material benefit. It is like putting more baggage on our heads, and ultimately it will be gone only. So it does not, if we look for material benefits, it does not bring us eternal benefit. So that is why this kind of asking for material benefits, it's condemned. And then second type of hearers are those who want to, they are on the Nivritti Marg. Like previously they were on the Pravritti Marg when we are looking for material benefits. But when we want to get out of this material world, that is Nivritti Marg. So the other type of devotees are who are on the path of Nivritti Marg. And when they are hearing about Krishna, their purpose to hear is to develop love and devotion for Krishna. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, we know, we have read those verses, and those are very dear verses to all of us, actually. And it is not, I just wanted to say that it's not like the things don't happen by magic or by chance. So it's not like by hearing hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from a qualified speaker, by magic things are happening. There is a science that is acting behind it, and that is described in these verses in 1.2.16 to 1.2.21. But right now I was just wanted to mention that verse, that when a devotee hears the Srimad Bhagavatam, pastimes of Krishna, with a different consciousness. And what is that consciousness? Because whenever we do any activity, we are looking for some benefit. We are not doing any activity without any benefit. We want something out of something. And this is natural. It is just that what is best for us that we should strive for. And that is what we need to know. So the first type of devotees were, they are asking for material benefit. Now that is their motivation. And what is the motivation of a devotee who is on the Nivritti Marg? The motivation of a devotee who is on the path of Nivritti Marg is that the devotee desire to establish our loving relationship to Krishna. So that is the devotee's consciousness, that okay, by hearing these pastimes, I will develop my loving relationship with Krishna. So what happens when devotee hears with that consciousness? And this is a very beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada on 1.2.17. And I will just say what Srila Prabhupada is saying. The Lord is reciprocally respondent to his devotees. When he sees that a devotee is completely sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service of the Lord, and has thus become eager to hear about him. So that is how, that is why devotee has become eager to hear about him. Why? Because a devotee is sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service of the Lord, and thus became eager to hear about him. Then what happens? See, it's not the magic. There is something happening in the back. And what is happening? The Lord acts from within the devotee in such a way that the devotee may easily go back to him. The Lord is more anxious to take us back into his kingdom than we can desire. Most of us do not desire at all to go back to Godhead. Only a very few men want to go back to Godhead. But anyone who desires to go back to Godhead Shri Krishna helps in all respects. So this is what happens when we hear with that eagerness. And how do we get that desire? Because since birth, at least I know myself, I did not know anything other than other than looking for my needs, my bodily needs. And I did not know anything beyond that. I would go to the temple only for the purpose of getting some benefit, or like I didn't used to study earlier. So I remember I used to go to Hanuman. I wouldn't study anything, but after the exams, I would go to Hanumanji's temples, so that he'll pass me in my exam. So I didn't know anything better than that. And then how do we get that desire to love Krishna, to develop our loving relationship with Krishna, to serve him with love and devotion? That is explained in the previous verse of this chapter. And we all know this verse by heart, I think. Shravatam swakatha Krishna purni shravana kirtana hridayantastho hi abhadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam. Sorry, I read the wrong verse. Sushrisho shraddhanasya vasudeva katharuchi syan mahat sevaya vipra punya tirtha nishepana. By serving the pure devotees. When we serve the pure devotees, then we are associating with the pure devotees. And just like when we associate with someone who is sick, we catch infection. Like I recently caught infection of cold because my son have it. So when just like that, we get the infection of virus. Similarly, when we associate with devotees through service to them, then we get their qualities. And what is their foremost quality? Their foremost quality is that they are hearing about Krishna, or they are speaking about Krishna. So that is how we get the desire to hear about Krishna. And so these are the kind of speakers, listeners we want to be, we desire to be, because by hearing in such consciousness, we get out of, means it's like, what is that phenomenon that is called? I completely forgot. But basically, complete, so that all the material miseries are completely gone by this process. How? Because by this process of sadhana, by hearing about Krishna, we can get out of this material world, which is full of miseries. So instead of being like an old lady who wants to put the sticks back to her head, we want to, get out of this material world where we have to either put our stick on the head or our shoulder or somewhere. So there was just one thing I wanted to say. It's this is a very easy process. Means if you really look at it, it's a very easy process hearing about Krishna, and it's not painful also, because we feel so much happiness when we hear about Krishna. It gives us we all know when we hear about Krishna, at that moment our consciousness changes. We are not worried about any other problem in our life that is going on. And I just wanted to go back to the point where I was mentioning that quality of Maharaj Parikshit, that how he surrendered everything. Sorry, how he was surrendered, and because he was surrendered to Krishna, he was completely fearless. So it's and how the moment he came to know about his untimely death, he immediately went to the banks of Gangaji, and he wanted to hear about Krishna all the time. But I know it is easier said than done, because we all are like, these are the pure devotees. Maharaj Parikshit, he's a pure devotee. He's setting an example for us. But when it comes to our personal life in implementing, we do it in our, we use our common sense, and we do it in our life in such a way so that it is practical for us to do. And it's like in our lives, we have to make our decisions, and we have to make our decisions. We cannot be like, okay, if we are in some condition and situation, okay, that is where Krishna has placed us. It's Krishna's will. No, Krishna's will, we know in Bhagavad Gita, Sarv Dharmani Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Give up, just surrender on to him. Give up all the activities and just surrender on to him. That is Krishna. That is what Krishna desires. And when it comes to our practical application, how do we practically apply? So we are not Maharaj Parikshit. And as I was saying earlier, Maharaj Parikshit is a pure devotee of Krishna, and he's completely under the protection of the internal energy. So we worship him from, his love for Krishna, and we don't imitate him, we follow in his footsteps. So we may not be able to do the same what Maharaj Parikshit did, but we continue to, when we are in our difficult times, we continue to do our sadhana. It's not we are not impacted, we are not going through the pain. We also go through the pain, but devotees, they don't suffer. Like we go to the pain, but the suffering is not there. There is a difference between suffering and the pain. So we go through the pain, but if we just continue with our sadhana very strictly, we continue the chanting and hearing about Krishna, and we go through the difficult times, then if we are looking at a sari or any suit, when we look back of the sari, we would see, okay, some thread going here and there. But when we see the front of the sari, we see how beautiful the design is. So similarly, when we go through our difficulties, at the same time taking shelter of Krishna in the form of his name, his devotees, and hearing about him, then later on, when we go out of the situation, we will see that how much we have grown, and how we have how much we have improved in our sadhana, in our bhakti, what impurities have gone from our heart. So it's important to not imitate, but try to take shelter of Krishna in difficult times. Although there is a pain, but we don't give up Krishna. We continue taking his shelter, and then we are out of one difficulty, then another will come. If the difficulties stop, then we will stop growing. They will keep on coming. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that road to Vrindavan is full of thorns. So the thorns are not because of anything else, but the thorns are because of our desires that we have in our heart. So when the point I'm making is that in our difficult times, we make practical decisions. The life is like a crossroad. Every moment we make a decision. So we make our practical decisions, and then we continue on our sadhana, and by taking shelter of Krishna. So there was just when I would go through the difficult times, and I just remember the song. It's a mundane song, but sometimes the songs also help us if someone knows Hindi, it's like रुक जाना नहीं तू कहीं हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे रास्ते बाहर के, means don't stop, don't get I don't know how to say it in English, sorry. Basically, don't lose your hopes, continue on the path. And when we go on the path of thorns, then after crossing that path, you will see the path of love, basically. So that's all I had. So I would just stop and see if there are any discussions or comments. So thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Vishakha.
Hare Krishna.
My humble obeisance, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Mine also, Mataji.
Thank you. Yes, you did touch upon all the qualities of Maharaja Parikshit and the speaker and the message of the verse. I was thinking about a communication that Lingaraju Prabhu put in the group that, most of us don't regularly attend these classes. And he was trying to encourage if some people can at least come few days just to hear. I was intending to address that in not about people should come, but about what is it? I think Lingaraju posted a question that what is it that we can do in an interesting way to improve the attendance. And actually, I was thinking of focusing on that as part of my class. And it is nothing doing anything in an interesting way. The answer is something different. But while you were preparing this class, did that discussion point come to you? Because this was about the speaker and hearer, subject matter, this particular verse. And so I'm just asking, what did occur to you? In the case of course, we know Maharaja Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj was the best listener, and so Shukadeva Goswami was the best of speakers, and everything was perfect. So did anything catch your attention when you were preparing for this, as to what brings about this transformation in the hearts of people, as to the wanting to attentively hear? Because that was the issue that Lingaraju was trying to address. Anything caught your attention when you were preparing?
Just one point that came to my mind, Mataji, when I was preparing, was that just like Sutta Goswami, he was speaking in such a way that it was increasing the desire to hear more. So I was just thinking that we should also speak in such a way that the heart of the people churns, and then it touches them in their practical aspects of life more, so that we start thinking, and then we get questions. Okay, how do we do that? So when we hear, and then when we get the questions, then it makes our interest more in listening. That's what I was thinking, Mataji.
For me, that is more of a how to do, what to do kind of thing, that everybody's mind is set on that. Like we hear this question when Maharaj Ramapad Swami Maharaj speaks, millions of lectures, and every lecture I see, it is like how to do, what to do. That is the kind of, it's like a more of an immediate practical question. And I'm thinking something more than that. It's not about how to do, what to do. I mean, I saw somebody was discussing about having opportunity to ask questions. And of course, in 30 minutes, I was thinking practically it is not possible for too much of a dialogue there. But for as practicing devotees, there is a higher purpose in our life. And all of us who are attending the classes, we have a role to play in there. And how does that develop? And that was the direction in which my thought process was going. And not only, it's not my thought process, just the whole direction of Srimad Bhagavatam clearly shows these things. And I'll discuss that tomorrow. I don't want to bring it up, but I just wondered if anything caught your attention when you were preparing. I will yield the time. I will let others speak. 1 minute, Peter. Yeah. Sorry, got distracted here for something else, and I'll just let others speak if anybody has anything to add or to comment. I'll take my discussion next class, that is tomorrow.
Thank you, Mathaji.
Go ahead, Radha Kunji Bihari Prabhu. You're saying something.
No. I was wanting to answer to Premananda Mataji, but we can take it up tomorrow. Again, I don't want to distract from the topic. Anandini Priya Mataji, it was a wonderful discussion today. Thank you for keeping it very interesting also.
Thank you, Prabhu. Krishna's mercy only. If no other discussions, Prabhu, can we in the class?
Yeah, maybe Mataji, if no, we have time, 15 minutes. So in case if anybody has any.
Okay,
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thanks for the wonderful lecture. So how you told like the speaker has to have an interest in telling, and the listener has to have the curiosity to learn. I'm a neophyte devotee, so what are the ways to you propose to increase the curiosity in learning on these subjects of philosophy?
Yes, Prabhu. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, I think 1.2.16. That's okay, I just closed it. That let me see what Srila Prabhupada says there. 1 second, Prabhu. So here in verse 1.2.16. So by we get the more desire to hear by serving the devotees, serving the pure devotees, and also by hearing more. Actually, hearing is also, if you look at it, it is service to the devotees. So the more we hear, the more we get attracted. The more we hear, the more we get attracted. Just like Rukmini Devi she was, since her childhood, she was hearing about Krishna. So he got very attracted towards Krishna just by hearing. So it's like, and of course, Prabhu, the association of devotees. So if we associate with people who drink a lot, then naturally we will start drinking with them. Like they will say, come on, let's go, let's do one glass, it will be so much fun. And they will say it, and they will say in such a way that we will get attracted. So similarly, when we associate with devotees, then what do devotees do? They only talk about Krishna. So when we associate with devotees and we hear more, then the desire become more. When we drink more, we become more alcoholic. So similarly, when we hear more, we become we want to hear more and more and more and more and more about Krishna. So just I think, Prabhu, it is the more we hear, the more we become addicted to hearing. So basically, whatever time we have, I know we are very busy. We generally don't have time because of work and everything. So I can just say how I do it. When I'm cooking, at least at that time, I put a lecture, or I go for a walk or running, I put a lecture. So instead of hearing anything else, I either hear to Srila Prabhupada or other devotees. So we just need to put more time in our lives to hearing, Prabhu. The more we hear, the more we are attracted. And when we are hearing, Prabhu, then I think we should just set our consciousness in place also. That is how I also do it, that I just set my consciousness so that, okay, by hearing, may I get more attraction towards Krishna, or may I get the desire to serve devotees more. So that is how, if we set the consciousness, then in the beginning we set the consciousness, that it follows it through the hearing. And then as the verse was saying, in Srila Prabhupada was saying that when we have desire to serve Krishna, to be in relationship with Krishna, then Krishna purifies our heart, right? So when we hear with that consciousness, then Krishna purifies our heart. So I think hearing is important, Prabhu. At the same time, if we can consciously set our consciousness before hearing, that would really help.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
There is no more discussion. You can end. Hare Krishna, Mataji. It looks like there is no more discussion. Maybe if you want to end. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear. Thank you, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances.